morning, everybody. I'm joined by the Director of Economic Development for the Governor's Office, Mark Blasdel, and also our Budget Director, Ryan Osmundson. And thank you for being here. It's been largely an encouraging week. Many of our bills to cut Montanans' taxes by $1 billion had their first hearing. Our focus remains putting money back in your pockets without delay. We want to permanently cut your income taxes by $500 million. We want to cut the tax rate that most Montanans pay, and we want to help lower income working Montanans by expanding the earned income tax credit. We want to build on our 2021 reforms of the business equipment tax and ease the burden for 5,000 of our small business owners across the state, family farmers and ranchers, Main Street businesses. We want to take them off the business equipment tax rolls entirely. And we want to provide Montana homeowners with $2,000 in property tax rebates over this year and next. And this week, we saw that our plan enjoys widespread support. And I was encouraged by the lines and lines of supporters who testified in support of our tax relief plan for hardworking Montanans. But the short of it is this: hardworking Montanans deserve relief, and they deserve it without delay. 2 days ago, we saw groups representing Montanans come out in support of our plan to provide $2,000 of property tax rebates to Montana homeowners. AARP Montana representing Montana seniors. The Montana Chamber of Commerce and Bozeman Chamber of Commerce representing Montana businesses. The Montana Association of Counties and the Montana League of Cities and Towns representing local officials. The Montana Taxpayers Association representing hardworking taxpayers. The Montana Association of Realtors. The North Central Montana Economic Development District. They all came out to support our plan to give $2,000 of rebates back to Montana property owners. And they need it now. Yesterday, though, when given a chance to move this critical measure forward, the committee tabled the bill. This held up property tax relief for Montanans. The committee members decided they didn't need to vote on it. I want to take a minute to thank the 7 of the 21 members of the committee who do want to help Montana property owners without delay. And it's a bipartisan group. Mark Thane, a Democrat from Missoula. Tom Welch, the bill's sponsor, and a Republican from Dillon. Kim Abbott, a Democrat from Helena and the minority leader. Brad Barker, a Republican from Roberts. Dave Fern, a Democrat from Whitefish. Josh Kastmeyer, a Republican from Fort Benton. And George Nikakakis, a Republican from Great Falls. I want to say thank you to that bipartisan group who did their job, who voted to take action on this property tax relief bill. But let's take a minute to talk about what $2,000 of property tax relief would do for Montanans over the next 2 years. In Yellowstone County, the average homeowner would see their property tax burden go down by 45% in the first year. In Flathead County, the average homeowner would see their property tax bill go down by 39%. In Sanders County, the average homeowner would see their property tax burden go down by 65%. In Fergus County, the average homeowner would see their property tax burden go down by 70%. In Cascade County, the average homeowner would see their property tax burden go down by 55%. In Roosevelt County, the average homeowner would see their property tax burden eliminated entirely. In Park County, the average homeowner would see their property tax burden go down by 49%. Many of these legislators who voted to stall the property tax relief are the same ones who came to me in 2021 telling me we had to act on property taxes. Between $2,000 in property tax rebates and permanent income tax cuts, I urge legislators to move these tax relief measures forward, pass them through both houses, and get them to my desk without delay. This is a priority for Montanans, and they're counting on us to get it done. Please get them to my desk. Delivering meaningful, real property tax relief is a priority for Montanans because that's what they told me over and over again as I traveled this great state. Montanans have spoken loud and clear. Property tax relief is a priority for them. We owe it to them to deliver, so let's get it done. When it comes down to it, Montanans send us to Helena to deliver results, not stall them. That's another message I hear repeatedly from folks across the state. As many of you know, getting out of the Helena bubble to hear what's on the minds of hardworking Montanans has always been a priority for me. As I hear about the challenges Montanans face, and property taxes are just one example, at the end of the day, the challenges we face are not just about dollars and cents. It never has been. When you elected me as your governor 2 years ago, you entrusted me to do two things that I would focus on throughout my administration. One, to grow opportunities for Montanans and create a climate where small businesses can grow and create more good-paying jobs. And two, to protect our Montana way of life. That includes protecting our public lands and protecting our constitutional rights. Each person's right to keep and bear arms is part of our state's and our nation's rich heritage. Working with the legislature last session, we defended the Second Amendment rights of Montanans and law-abiding citizens. We made Montana a constitutional carry state. We prohibited the enforcement of any gun bans the federal government might attempt to impose on Montana. And despite the proud heritage of our right to keep and bear arms, though, both as a nation and a state, the Second Amendment is increasingly under scrutiny and attack. In the White House, in the halls of Congress, in state capitals, in some courts, and on Wall Street. An anti-gun agenda has taken hold. Policies pushed by the anti-gun lobby target law-abiding gun owners and fail to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. These actions won't fly in Montana. Neither will efforts by woke banks on Wall Street to discriminate against gun manufacturers. Activist woke capitalism through ESG investing is trending on Wall Street. ESG prioritizes climate change and social justice over maximizing shareholder returns. It puts stakeholders ahead of shareholders. Just yesterday, I spoke with a gun manufacturer from the Bitterroot who was denied a loan from a large national bank he had patronized for 27 years solely because he was in the firearms industry. As the state of Montana invests its financial assets, our priority is and should always be maximizing returns for our shareholders, the people of Montana. On my watch, we will never undermine taxpayers' returns on investment in favor of activist, woke capitalism through ESG investing. That's why our Board of Investments revoked the ability of its investment managers to vote our shareholder proxies, which align with ESG investment decisions. We're putting shareholders first, not a political agenda. Despite the onslaught of attacks on our Second Amendment rights, I can tell you one thing. The firearms industry is doing just fine in Montana. Yesterday, I attended the SHOT Show in Las Vegas, the country's premier trade show for sport shooting, hunting, and the outdoors industry. The enthusiasm truly was incredible. I visited Montana vendor booths and hosted over 60 Montanans for breakfast. Many told me of their booming business and plans to expand here in Montana, creating more good-paying jobs in the firearms and ammunition industries. Today, in Montana, we have 146 innovative firearms and ammunition manufacturers. This is the highest per capita rate anywhere in the country. And given our pro-business environment, quality of life, and pro-Second Amendment culture, we will recruit more. In fact, I met with a number of them yesterday that are making plans to move here to Montana. In a panel with 6 other governors from across the country, I shared a clear message. Montana is open for business. We have a proud Second Amendment heritage, and we welcome gun manufacturers, hunting companies, and folks throughout this industry to come and do business in Montana. While that message may buck the national trend, it's a position we're proud of. In fact, bucking the national trend is a position we've gotten pretty used to. As companies, lawmakers, and eventually the president mandated COVID-19 vaccine, we outlawed discrimination based on vaccine status here in Montana. As our country struggled to get folks back to work, we were the first state in the country to end supplemental unemployment benefits and incentivize work. As the federal government and states across the country pick winners and losers in the energy industry, we've pursued an all of the above approach. And when the Department of Defense implemented the vaccine mandate for members of the military, undermining our military readiness, we pushed back. When our calls on the Biden administration fell on deaf ears, we called on Congress to prohibit the mandate, which federal lawmakers did. And today, the COVID-19 vaccine is no longer a requirement for military service, and it is no longer mandated for service members of the Montana National Guard. As I continue leading our great state, we'll keep doing what's in the best interest of Montanans. We'll continue to make state government more efficient and responsive to the people we serve, emphasizing customer service. We'll continue to help Montanans keep more of what they earn. We'll continue to defend Montana's constitutionally protected freedoms from federal overreach. And working with the legislature this session, I'm optimistic. We will make Montana an even better place to work, raise a family, and pursue the American dream. With that, I'd be happy to open it up for questions. Yes, Jonathan.
Governor Jonathan Ian, Montana Television Network. In regards to the tax proposals that you talked about earlier, I know there are other proposals floating around there that have different breakdowns. I know Representative Mercer, for example, has one that has a smaller property tax rebate and a much larger income tax rebate instead. I was wondering what your reasoning is for feeling that the proposals that you have is the best option, why you prefer that to, say, a smaller property tax rebate, larger income tax rebate, or something like that?
Well, tax relief across the board for all Montanans is critical. I heard that when I traveled. We put our plan forward. There are deliberations in the legislature, my message is very simple. It's like, consider the plan, modify it you must, get it to my desk, because we need to get the relief to Montanans. Yes?
Just following up on that, Sam Wilson, Lee Newspapers. Have you had any conversations with legislative leadership? Do they have any ideas that they're bringing to you that you'd be willing to incorporate into your budget proposals?
We're open-minded, and we think anything can be improved. We've put forward a very substantial plan to give $2,000 rebates to every Montana homeowner and to permanently cut the income tax rate. We need to provide significant tax relief to Montanans, and I look forward to seeing those bills on my desk. I was just disappointed yesterday with the stalling and the delay that occurred when we had an opportunity to act on behalf of Montanans.
Sure. Oh, just to follow up on that, are legislative Republicans asking for anything specifically from you?
We're in dialogue with them as we are with the majority and the minority. I was really pleased yesterday to see bipartisan support for our tax relief, property tax relief, both from Democrats and Republicans. It's clear this is not a partisan issue. Montanans need property tax relief.
Yeah, RN with the Montana Free Press. Not to beat a dead horse, but what does it tell you that this motion to table the bill came from the House Majority Leader, not just some rank and file member? Like, clearly leadership wants to stop your proposal at this point in time. What does it suggest about the state of negotiations right now?
Well, we need to get tax relief to the people of Montana. The legislature has to work through their process in committee, but I encourage them to get the bills to my desk as soon as possible. Montanans need this relief. Are there any online questions?
Yes, we have Josh from NBC.
Hi, Josh.
Yes, good morning, Governor. I want to switch topics a little bit and talk about Senate Bill 26, which would revise laws and decriminalize fentanyl test strips. It's something that healthcare workers and youth have been calling for. And it was something that was, had a lot of proponents at the hearing earlier this month, and then it was tabled a couple weeks ago. Would you like to see that bill revived? And how efforts to address the opioid fentanyl epidemic can go in the legislature here?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Well, let me be really clear. We have a drug epidemic in the state. It's affecting everything. It's the root of both drugs and alcohol, the root of probably 90% of the crime we're seeing in our communities across the state. It's causing families to come apart. It's increasing the number of kids in foster care. It's making our communities less safe. This is why we've done the public safety roundtables, 8 of them across the state. I've heard it over and over again. Our approach is twofold. One, for nonviolent offenders that are addicted to some substance, we need to get them into treatment. This is why we prioritize that with the Heart Fund, with our large investment in proposed here in mental health, getting community-based mental health care back. And then secondly, is we need to give law enforcement the tools they need to get the dealers off the street. And again, there's 4,400 bills making their way through the session. Fighting the drug epidemic is a priority for us. I'll consider those bills as they get to my desk because they tend to follow a fairly circuitous route on the process. Are there other online questions?
Not this time.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, Arn with the Free Press again. Senate Bill 73, this is a bill strengthening legislators' audit oversight and adding some penalties for noncompliance state agencies. I think DOA, an attorney from DOA came to testify against the bill. I know there's been some ongoing discussions with the second floor, but wondering whether you yourself are opposed to this measure or sort of where the opposition from the executive is coming from to this effort.
Yeah, we have to respect the separation of powers between the legislative branch and the administrative branch. And again, there's 4,400 bills going through the process. We'll see what form that bill takes, and when it gets to my desk, we'll consider it. Any other questions? Yes.
House Bill 152, one of the red tape bills that focuses on licensure. That had its first hearing yesterday, and there was some criticism of the process to get there. Some of the members of boards felt like their input wasn't really valued or allowed to even be put forward during the initial kind of listening process. And I'm just kind of curious what your response is to that criticism and whether or not you're open to amendments on that bill moving forward.
Yeah, so I just want to praise the Lieutenant Governor. She was the one I charged with the red tape relief effort. She's turned over every rock. We've gone through every line of code across all the MCA in every agency. We've been doing extensive stakeholder outreach for the last 2 years, meeting with industry groups, soliciting their input, and many of those ideas are in the legislation. I think better is always possible. If we miss something, we should correct it. We have, I think it's last count, 159 red tape relief bills that are being considered by the legislature. And one of the things we've learned in the process, and I guess this is a comment on human nature, everyone hates red tape unless it's their red tape. So I think we have to apply common sense to the consideration of these bills. And if there's input from industry that can make these bills better, we ought to incorporate it, amend them, and get them to my desk. Anything else? Yes.
Yeah, one more. House Bill 251 would establish a debt and liability-free account. Is that a proposal coming from your administration?
Yeah, it is.
This is the debt-free?
It is.
Yeah, okay, I'm just checking with my budget director. We're trying to do what any Montana family would do if they got a little extra money. First, we think we need to give it back. That's why we're so strongly advocating for property tax relief and income tax relief. Secondly, we need to fix what's broken. We have an issue with our state prison. We have an issue with our mental health services and the state hospital. We need to build roads and bridges. We need more affordable housing. Those are the things that are broken. We need to save for a rainy day. That's what a family would do. And finally, what a Montana family would do if they got a little extra money is they make an extra credit card payment or an extra payment on their mortgage. This bill that you're referencing would make Montana debt-free in '23 and would accrue about $40 million every biennium back to the state in avoided principal and interest payments. And then we can use that for the things that are important for Montana. So that bill does have our support. We think we should be debt-free in '23. So thank you very much for being out today.